We're only 24 hours in and already the pressure of the election campaign is starting to show. As you've heard me say before, people can tell leaders how tough their first campaign will be. They can tell them be prepared. But until the leader's actually in it and the scrutiny is on and the scrutiny is relentless, that advice means little. Because there's nothing like being the national leader in a national campaign with nowhere to hide. For Anthony Albanese, this is his first time in this sort of pressure cooker. For Scott Morrison, of course, it's his second time round. Today, Albanese's had a dream run. For the first 2 years in his time as opposition leader, Australia was focused on COVID, so there was little for him to do. Not much in the way of parliamentary sittings, and with the country locked down, few places for him to go. In the past 12 months, where he could get out and campaign, he's done his press conferences flanked by junior reporters, out in the suburbs or in the country towns, not squaring off against the Canberra press gallery, who, for all their faults, are well prepared and unflappable. But with the campaign now called, those Canberra types are on the road, travelling as a pack with the opposition leader and the Prime Minister, meaning that every day is a test because they're prepared and more than willing to challenge a politician, as Anthony Albanese found out today. First, let's deal with this line that you're somehow up to being Prime Minister just because you've had a few days as the stand-in. Barnaby Joyce has also been an acting Prime Minister, but that doesn't make him PM ready.
Yesterday you said, well, my experience is I've been acting Prime Minister, but how long have you actually held that role, or did you undertake that role?
Well, I did it just on a couple of occasions.
How long for? How many days?
Not that many days, but on 2 occasions. But I've also been the Deputy Prime Minister. I've been Leader of the Government in the House for 6 years. I've been in Parliament for 20 years. The difference is when I was acting Prime Minister, I knew I was acting Prime Minister.
But then the opposition leader was asked this.
You mentioned the Reserve Bank earlier. Do you know the official cash rate off the top of your head?
Oh, look, we can do the old Q&A stuff over 50
but
different,
do you know
over 50 different figures.
Given how much this election is about cost of living, it was a shocker of a gaffe. A gaffe or overconfidence? Perhaps Labor already thinks they've got this election in the bag, so they don't need to be across the detail needed by anyone, I'd argue, who wants to run the country. Because after the cash rate miss came this.
Andrew.
What's the national unemployment rate?
National unemployment rate at the moment is, I think it's 5.4. Sorry, I'm not sure what it is.
Not even close, a long way off. Now, one mistake, it's just a mistake. But 2 says to me there's a lack of discipline in the leader's campaign. How many Australians are out of work, and the cash rate behind our monthly mortgage repayments are the sort of figures that should come naturally to an alternative Prime Minister, or that his campaign team should have drilled into him. Beyond the 2 actual errors, what today says is that this bloke hasn't done the work, that he's had 26 years in the Parliament and 3 years as opposition leader and still hasn't really demonstrated the mettle a Prime Minister needs. Telling too was the fact that in his campaign ad over the weekend and in a number of his social media posts too, Albanese is still introducing himself to the electorate. The fact they don't know him speaks volumes, but it still doesn't make him unelectable. Now be careful here. I've listened to a lot of commentary since the campaign kicked off yesterday, and for coalition backers, there's a temptation to think that everything Labor does or says is off the mark, hopeless, won't cut through. Vice versa too, if you're barracking for Labor, Morrison's poison, he's hopeless, you know the drill. A lot of what Labor put out yesterday, including Albanese's opening press conference, was good. It was very good. The rapid response with negative ads was everything you'd want to see in a tight campaign. You see, underestimating your opponent is the first and deadliest mistake in a campaign. The second, losing your objectivity. I know the old adage that oppositions don't win elections, governments lose them, but Scott Morrison wouldn't be the first Prime Minister to hold on by persuading voters that the alternative would be worse. It's pretty much how he won last time, and he thinks he's now earned a second miracle. Right now, the PM is saying, vote for me because I'm not Anthony Albanese. The opposition leader is saying, vote for me because I'm not Scott Morrison. It's Labor light Liberals versus Liberal light Labor. And with both sides accusing the other of having a hidden agenda. At stake, 151 House of Representatives seats across the country. Just to keep its wafer-thin majority, the government must win a seat and lose none. To govern in its own right, the opposition has to win 7 seats and lose none. The Liberals think they've got opportunity in New South Wales, but the local party is in turmoil over the abandonment of democratic pre-selections. And Labor should have opportunities in Queensland, but must overcome big margins in the target seats. Today's news poll has narrowed again, with Labor just 3 points ahead nationally. Without serious infighting in the government or a big mistake from Labor, my instinct is that we're still headed for a hung parliament. And that's the last thing our country needs. Let's hope over the next 5 weeks of this campaign we get a clear outcome and the sort of policies we need for Australia's future that, to be honest, tonight, neither side are yet offering us.